Morning, everyone. What's up, everyone? Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. Today is Friday. Sorry, Friday. It's not a Friday. Today is February the 19th. Today is a Thursday. Overall markets, nice push towards the upside yesterday. Ended up dropping back down in towards the lows with FOMC minutes. We're kind of opening up in a very similar spot that we did yesterday. So really for this week so far, we've only had two trading sessions, but really not too much of a clear direction here, just based off the higher time frames. A couple of the tech names didn't really move as much compared to the overall indices yesterday. So of course, we'll talk about that here in a second. Before we do that, what is up, everyone? Good morning. Yeah, what's up, everyone? Good morning. Good morning, B Roots. Good morning, KO, Cody, Juan, Pascal. What's up, everyone? Platform. Yeah, if you go into my second channel, I don't have an exact video on how I personally trade, at least for my platform wise. I do use IBKR and Mumu. I'll have probably more videos coming out soon on how I actually use TWS in the active trader platform. Good morning, Chris. I am Lamit. What's up, everyone? Deuce, Cosmic, Hartik, Martin. What's up, Senna, Arnold, 50. Good morning, Victor. What's up, everyone? Gerald, Lawrence. Yeah. What's up, everyone? Do I personally not use a 5-minute? I use a 5-minute. It just depends what setup is forming. Of course, these levels that we do mark out are the previous day highs and previous day lows. A 5-minute opening range is more of an intraday setup. Yeah, what's up, everyone? Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. Before we head on to the charts, let me pull up the economic calendar. Okay. So for today, as you can see, we have a decent amount of red folder news the next 2 days. We did have FOMC minutes yesterday. We have unemployment that is going to be at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll see how that affects the market. President Trump speaking later into the day once market closes. Tomorrow is a pretty big day. Advanced GDP, core PCE, and then of course we have flash services that is going to be at 9:45. Eastern Standard Time. Besides that, let's hop straight into the charts here now. Okay, let's go into the ES. So as you can see here for the ES, the key levels that we have marked out, really coming into yesterday was our Friday's highs, of course. Nice push towards the upside once we got above our Friday's highs, and we end up gravitating up and towards our next key level, which, as you can see, multiple touches here. This is the exact area that we broke down from, and we end up having this rejection off our 69.30. We end up having that rejection. And now you can see price staying a little bit heavy, and now we're actually back underneath this Friday's highs. So coming into today, the key level that we're just going to have marked out here is our Friday's highs. We can mark out a couple other levels here in a second, but really this is going to be the key level coming to today. We have our 68.90, and then the other level that we can have marked out is just going to be that previous day lows. So we can drag this out from the wick and drag it out to the body here. So coming to market open and moving forward, the main level here is going to be this 68.90. If we do want to see some upside, we need to see the reclaim back above this 68.90 for any sort of continue push back towards the upside. So this is going to be the scenario for longs. Of course, another scenario now is going to be the bounce off our previous day lows, and you could be looking for this mean reversion back up in towards that 68.90. Now, as I mentioned, the higher time frame is still very much intact towards the downside after this rejection yesterday. If we do want to see some downside here, the key level is going to be that previous day low. We could be looking for the rejection, break underneath that previous day low for continuation lower, or the pop and fade here is in play off our Friday's highs of last week, which is just going to be this 68.90 key level. So for the overall markets here today, similar kind of thing as the first 2 days of the week. We're fairly neutral coming into today. We're just going to be waiting for the reaction that we have off key levels coming into market open. If you go into the SPY chart, fairly similar thesis here. If you go into the hourly, Nice push towards the upside yesterday. Ended up just gravitating up and towards our Wednesday's lows of last week. And you can see a little bit of rejection and then a push down coming into the afternoon and coming into yesterday's close. So the key level that we have marked out is our Friday's highs of last week. Other levels that we can have marked out here now is just going to be our previous day lows, which you can mark this level out to your 683. So coming to market open, I'm just going to get rid of this level here for now. It's just going to be our 686 along with our 683, which is just our previous day lows. If we do want to see some upside, as I mentioned, we need to see the reclaim back above our 686, and we could be looking for potential longs back up and towards our 688. Another potential long is going to be now the bounce off our previous day lows for this push up and towards that 686. So these are the two long scenarios that we have on the SPY coming into market open. In this case, I'm actually leaning a little bit more towards the downside here now, just because we're back underneath this 686 here on the SPY. If we can get this rejection off that 686, we can see a push right back down in towards our previous day lows, which is that 683. Another possible scenario, as I mentioned, underneath our previous day lows, we can see potentially your Monday's lows, which is very far away, but we can see our 678 all the way towards the downside. So keep an eye out on the SPY underneath our 686 coming into market open. The higher time frames is still technically intact towards the downside, more so on the QQQ, which I'm going to show you guys here in a second. Right, the NQ looks a little bit weaker still compared to the ES. So if we are going to short anything, shorting tech and shorting the NQ is going to be the way to go. So as you can see here, if you just zoom out on the higher time frames, currently on the NQ, we're still technically in a downtrend here on the hourly chart. So you can see lower highs are being built here on the hourly time frame. Yesterday, nice pop above our key levels, but we just end up coming back up and towards our key level of resistance. We end up rejecting off this level, and now you can see prices staying heavy. So I would like to see overall markets, as long as you can maintain market structure, we can see this continue push down in towards our Monday's lows and below, which technically would be our 24,300. So let's go back onto the lower time frames here. So coming into today, the key levels that we're just going to have marked out is going to be this Friday's highs of last week. So moving forward, if we can maintain underneath our 24,960, we can see this continue push down in towards our previous day lows, along with our low that we created earlier this week. Another possible scenario, as I mentioned, underneath previous day lows, we can see this continuation down in towards that 24,640 here as well. So we have two scenarios for the downside. As for some key levels that we can have marked out, let's just mark out that previous day low here as well. As for upside, the key level, similar thing to yesterday, would have to be the reclaim back above your 24,960. So this is the key level for the NQ coming into market open. As for the QQQ, these are the levels that we currently have marked out. We have our Friday's highs 606, and the other level that we can have marked out here is just going to be that previous day lows, which is that 601. So coming into market open, let's just kind of go into the higher time frames to show you guys what the hourly chart is looking like here as well. So technically we are still in a downtrend here on the QQQ. If you look at this from the daily time frame perspective, we are at a key level support, or we bounced off a key level support earlier into the week, but you can see overall markets are still staying heavy. So if we can push back towards the downside, potentially close underneath our 600 key psych, we do have a little bit more room lower down in towards our 588. So if we look at the Qs here, the key levels coming into market open today, as I mentioned, is just going to be our 606. So this is the level that we can have drawn out. You can see yesterday, nice push towards the upside. Once we broke back underneath, you can see a couple retests here on the QQQ. Now moving forward, if we do want to see some downside, the number one scenario that we're going to be looking for, we can be looking for this pop and fade here off our 606 for a push down in towards our previous day lows. Another possible scenario here now, as I mentioned, is going to be the break underneath our previous day lows, hold underneath our previous day lows for a push down in towards our 597. So this is what we have for the QQQ coming into market open here today. If we do want to see some longs, the longs are going to be a little bit more tricky in my opinion today, just because we end up having a nice push yesterday. We're back underneath key levels. So for longs, we need it above our 606. That's going to be key here. Or now the bounce play off our 601. And we could be looking for a mean reversion back towards the upside. So we have a couple scenarios played out. As I mentioned, I'm fairly neutral here coming into market open. Of course, the higher time frames, I am leaning a little bit more towards the downside, but of course, I'm open to playing both sides here on the market and just waiting for the reaction that we have off of the key levels that we have marked out. Okay, so now with going over the SPY and Qs, I'm going to go over the SMH here just in a second, and then I'm going to go over the IWM, and then we're going to go on to some tech names. If you guys do have any charts or any tickers, you guys can now drop them in the chat. If you guys are enjoying this so far, I appreciate if you guys drop a like. If you guys haven't joined the free daily watch list, that of course is in the description below. Okay. All right, let's head on to the SMH. How do I draw my key levels? That one, as I mentioned, I have it linked. If you join the free watch list in the description, it'll link you to like a free Telegram that I have, and I just kind of post random stuff there. So if you go into the Telegram, it's kind of pinned in the top chat. By the way, I'll never message you first. So if you guys do get any messages from any platform that I use, be it Discord, Telegram, Instagram, Twitter, I'll never message you guys first regarding any sort of payments or anything along the lines. I'll never ask you guys for money. If it's about copy trading or sounds sketchy, right, or it has anything to do with cryptocurrency, right, that's not me. Okay, let's go on to the SMH. So the key levels that we have yesterday, you can see SMH was the one that was leading the market back towards the upside. So as you can see here, higher lows are being built. We end up having nice continuation above our previous day highs. So you can see for the SMH, nice kind of break and retest off our previous day highs. Key level that we had yesterday was our 410. And that's why a couple of these semis moved nicely higher. NVIDIA moved nicely. Of course, the best semiconductor was MU, some memory, but that one ended up having a nice push towards the upside. Key level that we have marked out on the SMH was our 410. Nice buyer stepped in for this continuation higher. So 4 key levels that we have marked out is going to be right here, 410, the exact same level that we had previously. If we want to continue higher, key level that we're going to have marked out here is that 410 buyer stepping in. If we break back underneath that 410, we can see a little bit of a mean reversion here. So that's what we have for SMH coming into today. As for the IWM, this one, a nice pop above our 265, but ultimately we're still inside of this range. So as you can see here for the IWM, we have the middle of the range, we have the top of the range, we have the bottom of the range. Currently, as you can see, popped above the middle of the range, and now we're just kind of right back into this general area. So for IWM, if we have this pop and fade, you can be looking for a push right back towards the downside. If you want to see some upside here, kind of similar game plan to yesterday, needs to break above our 265 and hold above our 265 for any sort of continued push back towards the upside. Okay, now let me go on to some tech names that I have coming into today. As I mentioned, if you guys do have any charts or any tickers, you guys can now drop them in the chat. Let's go on to Tesla. So Tesla here on the daily chart is staying heavy. So a lot of these names are kind of staying heavy along with the QQQ here. So every single pop so far has been shorted towards the downside. Now for Tesla, we're actually getting back underneath key levels. So the key level that we have marked out is this 414. This general area where you can see we have multiple touches of support. As you can see, we got above it, end up turning into support, but now you can see kind of using this level as resistance. So coming into today here for Tesla, the key levels that we're going to have marked out is number one, this 414 on the higher time frames. We can also now have marked out our previous day lows as well. So these are going to be our key levels coming to today. Let's keep an eye out on our 410 along with our 413. If you want to see some downside here on Tesla, pop and fade off our previous day lows for continuation towards the downside. Another possible scenario is going to be the rejection here off our 413 for this push down in towards our lows as well. Another possible scenario underneath our pre-market lows for a push down in towards our Monday's lows that we created earlier this week. So for Tesla, I'm leaning a little bit more towards the downside just based off of earlier, right? Tuesday's price action along with yesterday's price action and just based off the higher time frames. So this is what we have. We can now also mark out our Monday's lows here. The only way I'm going to be more neutral on Tesla is if we can reclaim back above our 410. Reclaim back above our 410, we can see a potential push back up in towards that 414. So that's what we have for Tesla coming to market open. Now let's head on to NVIDIA. So for NVIDIA, as you can see, the higher time frame technically still intact on this name. The key levels that we have marked out is, of course, that previous high that we created here on Tuesday. So if we zoom out here and let's go on to the hourly time frame or even the 4-hour chart, you can see nice consolidation here. We're inside of a range on NVIDIA. What we like to see is higher lows be built and potential push up in towards this 194. As for the lower time frames, the key levels that we have marked out is our Friday's highs of last week. We also have our Tuesday's highs marked out plus our previous day lows. So for NVIDIA coming into market open, this is the level that we could have marked out our previous day lows. If we do want to see some upside, we need to see buyers step in off this 187 coming into market open. Really the only game plan today. Another possible scenario is going to be above our 188 for this continued pushback up towards our 190. So these are the two long scenarios here for NVIDIA. Downside is going to be underneath a key level, previous day lows. We can see some downside underneath this level for a push down in towards this news candle low that we created. So as I mentioned, we are interested in trading both sides here on the markets. We're not going to have too much of a bias coming into really today. And the overall, really most names that we have, right? You don't want to come into the markets with too much of a bias, and you just want to wait for the reaction that we have off key levels. So for AMD, the key levels, as you can see, this one's still staying heavy. If you're looking at this on the hourly chart, the key levels that we have, you can see lower highs are being built here. AMD, if we can break underneath key levels, now it's going to be that previous day lows. We can see this bigger push towards the downside. So key levels that we have coming into market open is going to be our previous day lows. You can see we have your Tuesday's lows, touch here, another touch yesterday, another touch in the after hours on Tuesday. If we do want to see some downside, as I mentioned, really there's two scenarios, either pop and fade here off our 204, or now we're going to be looking for shorts underneath that 195 for that continued push down in towards that 190. With us being inside of a range, consolidating the past two sessions, we can also mark out our opening range candle today and look for a potential opening range break for a push towards the upside, or the opening range break for a push down in towards that previous day lows. So as I mentioned, open and playing both sides here on most of these tickers. As for Apple, nice push up in towards our previous day highs, also our higher time frame key level here as well. A little bit of rejection. So for Apple, next level underneath our previous day lows is going to be our 260, which I'd like to see buyers step in. So for Apple long, so you could be looking for the higher low off our 260 coming into today. Another possible scenario, you could be looking for the bounce off your previous day lows for a pushback towards the upside. As for a few other scenarios we can be looking for is going to be the previous day low reject. So if price gets underneath your previous day lows, you could be looking for the retest down in towards that 260.50. Let's go into a few other tickers here. Google still staying heavy, so keep an eye out on Google. Key level here is our 304. As for Microsoft, this one, not really doing too much, just a little bit more consolidation. Break back underneath our 398. We can see the continued push down in towards our 394. So a lot of these names just kind of consolidating yesterday after that nice bounce on the SPY and Qs. There's a couple names that I do like for some more downside, but the market's going to have to drop as well if you do want to see any continued push lower. As for Meta, just kind of chilling right at our earnings low here. Shorts are still in play underneath that 640. As for Amazon, nice pop, but as you can see, higher time frames. A lot of these ones end up having a pop yesterday, but you can see higher time frames is still technically bearish. So as long as you can maintain market structure, we like to see the flip and push right back towards the downside. So yesterday, we end up having a nice move towards the upside, but overall, the higher time frame is still bearish. So now if we can break back underneath key levels, which is really our previous day lows, then we could be looking for shorts back towards the downside. So for Amazon, key levels is our 204. As you can see, pop and fade here off that 204 for this push towards the downside. Another possible scenario here now is underneath our previous day lows. We can see a push down in towards that 200 and below. So that's what we have for Amazon. And then for Netflix, really not too much to talk about here. So what we have, let's just actually go into the daily chart. As for Netflix, as I mentioned, we're kind of finding a little bit of a bottom here. We're going to have to reclaim back above key levels if you want to see any sort of push higher. But so far, higher time frame still very much bearish. Key levels, as long as you can maintain underneath your 79.50, you're going to maintain a bearish stance on this one. So that's what we have for some of the tech names coming into today. We do have unemployment in about 4 minutes here, so we'll see how that shapes up the overall markets. If you guys do have any charts or any tickers you guys would like me to go over, you guys can now drop them in the chat. If you guys are enjoying this so far, I appreciate if you guys drop a like. If you guys haven't joined the free daily watch list, that of course is in the description below as well. Okay, let's go on to a couple more names here, as I mentioned before, unemployment, and then I am going to then talk about my top watches coming into market open. Number one, Palantir. So Palantir here on the higher time frames, I actually do like this for a continued push lower. Yesterday, we wanted to see a potential rejection. We end up having a nice pop, and then we end up fading towards the downside. So I actually like Palantir, as I mentioned. Lower highs are very much still intact. Higher time frame is still very much bearish. So now underneath our previous day lows, we can see this flip here on Palantir and a push right back towards the downside. So if we go into the lower time frames, key levels that we have for Palantir is our 136. If we do want to refine our levels even more, we can actually do this right now. Key levels that we have today can be that previous day lows. So that previous day lows, we can mark this over up and towards our previous, our Friday's highs of last week. Sorry, these are our Thursday's highs. So the key level that we have marked out is going to be this 135. If we can see this pop and fade, strong seller step in, we can see this push towards the downside here on Palantir. Another possible scenario is the rejection here off our Tuesday's lows, Tuesday's highs. So regardless, keep an eye out on the pop and fade here on Palantir for a push towards the downside. This one, as I mentioned, if you're looking at this on the daily chart, higher time frames, we're kind of flipping bearish here. We're in a downtrend on the daily chart now, breaking underneath key levels of support. Every pop has been shorted, so I'd just like to see continue push lower down on Palantir. So keep an eye on this one coming to market open. As I mentioned, pop and fade is in play down in towards our 127. So keep an eye on this coming to market open here for Palantir. That's going to be the key levels today. As for a few other tickers here, let's go on to MU. So MU was the only ticker that was bullish or had a very nice push towards the upside yesterday. We kind of had a higher time frame move as well. This downtrend break that we marked out, previous level of support, resistance turned into support. And we kind of had this nice, as I mentioned, downtrend break, and we ended up breaking out of this trend line here on MU. So coming into today on MU, we're just right back up and towards a mini level of resistance that we have marked out. Previous day highs, you can kind of just drag this down, which is our 426. If we do want to see a continued push higher now on MU, there's a few scenarios I would be looking for. Number one, break above previous day highs, continuation up and towards our 440 is in play. Another possible scenario, bounce here off our 414 for potential pushback up and towards that 428. So these are the two long scenarios that we have on MU coming into market open. As for a few other tickers that we have, SNDK, not too much to talk about. We had some news a couple days ago on SNDK, but this one kind of consolidating on the daily chart as well. Key levels that we have marked out. We have this daily basically wedge pattern kind of building up. So that's what we have for SNDK. It does seem like we're about to have a nice push to either side very soon. So key levels that are just going to have marked out is going to be that 610, right? Break above 610, continuation towards the upside. Rejection, we can see this push right down in towards this 570. So that's what we have for SNDK coming to market open here. We just had some unemployment that came out as well. So let's take a look at that here now. Okay, so we just had unemployment here. It actually came in lower than expected. Forecasted 223, actual 206. So came in lower than expected here. So now, as you can see, overall markets were right at our previous day low. So as I mentioned, coming into today, I am fairly neutral here, leaning a little bit more towards the downside just based off the higher time frames. But as you can see, we're right in towards our previous day lows, fairly neutral coming into today. There's been a lot of gaps that we've created here in the markets the past couple of sessions. So every single day, you can see we had a very small gap, filled it towards the upside. Yesterday, we had a gap, ultimately filled it already coming into market open. So we had a pre-market gap, but we already filled it towards the downside. Now for today, we have a mini gap back towards the upside since we're gapping down. So a very possible scenario, we could just bounce and fill the gap back up and towards our 606, which is a very likely scenario here for the SPY and the Qs, unless we have a lot of weakness underneath our previous day lows. So I'm expecting the gap fill coming to market open on the SPY and the Qs, unless we have a big drop right off the bat, then I'm going to be leaning more towards the downside and we could be looking for the previous day low break and retest. Besides that, I'm expecting this potential mean reversion towards our previous day close. So some of my main watches coming to today, as you can see, Tesla, right underneath our previous day lows compared to the QQQ. So keep an eye on Tesla potential pop and fade off our previous day lows coming to market open. Nvidia, fairly neutral on Nvidia, actually leaning a little bit more towards the upside. If you can see some buyers, potential nice previous day low retest for a move back towards the upside. AMD neutral on past 2 days. We've been just stuck inside of this range. We're right in between the middle. So very neutral here on AMD. As for the rest of the tickers, I'm not too interested unless we have a lot of relative strength or weakness. So basically the exact same game plan as before. Really the past few days where I just focus in on Tesla, Nvidia, along with AMD. The rest of the names, not really too much of a clear direction on the rest of the Mag 7. As for Palantir, the key levels that we have marked out, as I mentioned, is going to be our previous day lows. Potential pop and fade off our previous day lows for this continued push towards the downside. As for a few other tickers, Hood, nice pop and fade yesterday. Higher time frame, still very much intact towards the downside on this one here as well. Key level that we have marked out is our earnings low, which you can see nice little rejection. Now we can be looking for shorts in play underneath our previous day lows for a push down in towards our 71 key psych level here on the higher time frames. As for a few other tickers, let me just go on to gold and silver here. As for gold and silver, really nothing has changed the past really week. We just had a little bit more consolidation here on the hourly chart. Key levels that we have marked out on gold is this level right here, basically our 5,000 key cycle level. You can see there's been a couple nice opportunities trading around this key level. If we do want to see some upside here now, right, as I mentioned, we're just kind of consolidating here, very tight range. We like to see the maintain above our 5,000 key psych. So based off the hourly chart, we like to see it maintain above this general area for this push back up and towards the highs. If we ultimately break back underneath, you can see this flip and a push right back down in towards our 48.80. As for gold, right, we're just kind of consolidating here. So until we can now kind of break outside of this consolidation, I'll be a little bit more cautious. Either way, right, higher lows are being built. We like to see eventually that push back towards the upside. As for silver, this one a little bit weaker compared to gold. Key level that we have marked out is our 75. So you can see multiple touches here, right? Kind of this bounce play broke underneath, but no seller stepped in. Now you can see this nice reclaim. We like to see at least silver push back up and towards our 82. So potential kind of mini inverse head and shoulders and a push back up and towards our 82 key psych. Okay, that's what we have for silver coming into today. Why would the opening range break be in play on AMD if it's already inside of a range? Wouldn't it be low probability? Yeah, it would be low probability yesterday, but we had an inside bar day yesterday. So we've basically been ranging for the past 2 days. So there's a good chance if we have a strong opening range break, we can have a clear direction after 2 days worth of consolidation, right? Yesterday was more just kind of inside the range. So I want to be a little bit more hands off. Today, the range is getting tighter and tighter. So once the range gets tighter and tighter here, that's when you mark out that opening range break, and sometimes you can have a clear direction. There could very much well be a fake out, so you have to be cautious of that. But inside, technically an inside bar day, consolidation, we want to mark out that opening range, and potentially we can get a clear direction on AMD coming into market open. Okay, so as I mentioned, coming into today, fairly neutral. We're looking for most likely that previous day close, which is that gap fill that we created in the overnight session. SPY, as you can see so far, buyers are stepping in. Previous day close is in play here as well. So today, fairly neutral, kind of similar game plan to yesterday. I'm going to be a little bit more cautious. We're going to wait for a clear direction here intraday since the higher time frame is fairly neutral, right? We're kind of opening up in a very similar spot that it did yesterday. So basically exact same thing as yesterday. Be a little bit more patient until we have like a clear setup or names that have clear relative strength or weakness. This week, at least so far, Tuesday, nice opening drive play was the best day. Yesterday, we ended up having a super nice move on the indices, but really there actually wasn't too much of a clear direction on some of these tech names. So unless you played the major indices themselves, there wasn't too many nice setups on the tech side. So we'll see what else shapes up. Tech has been very hard to long just because the overall QQQ lagging behind. SPY's a little bit more bullish than the tech. So there just really hasn't been too many nice setups towards the upside. So as I mentioned, similar game plan yesterday, we're just going to be a little bit more cautious. I do like a couple setups for the downside just because the higher time frame is still bearish, right? Tesla underneath previous day lows, Palantir underneath previous day lows. So we'll just keep an eye out on those ones. If we do want to see some bullish price action, as I mentioned, Qs and SPY now need to get back above our 606, which is going to be our key level coming to market open. So yeah, that's most likely going to be it for me today. I'm going to get ready for market open here now. Not too much that I'm seeing for at least top watches wise coming to market open, kind of similar as the past few days. Just keep an eye on a Tesla, Nvidia, and AMD. Besides that, I do like Palantir potentially on the higher time frames for a move towards the downside. I like most things towards the downside just based off the higher time frames, but we're going to wait for bearish price action intraday and now the break underneath our previous day lows here on the major indices. But yeah, that is going to be it for me today. Hopefully you guys did enjoy that. If you did, appreciate if you guys drop a like and sub. If you guys haven't joined the free daily watch list, that of course is in the description below as well. So yeah, that's going to be it for me, and I will see you guys all tomorrow. All right, take care, everyone. Peace.